Hi everyone, Allie here from the Family Meeple, and welcome back to our 2022 Advent Board Game Countdown. This is a series where I am counting down the top 24 new to me games that I played in 2022. To make the list, the game does not have to have been published in 2022. In fact, most of them were not. It just has to be a game that I played for the first time in 2022. Today we're going to be talking about game number 6 on the list, and that is Santa Maria. Santa Maria was published by Aporta Games. It was designed by Eilif Svensson and Christian Ostby. The artwork was done by Hermund Bonnet. I think that's how you pronounce it. I apologize if I have pronounced any of your names incorrectly. Santa Maria is an older game that was published by Aporta Games, and Aporta is quickly becoming one of my favorite publishers. The Magnificent was one of my favorite games that I played for the first time in 2021, and you can see my list on Instagram for my Advent Countdown last year. And the Magnificent is actually on the shelf behind me here. And so when I found out that they had also done Santa Maria, I was intrigued and wanted to check it out. But Santa Maria is extremely difficult to find in the States right now because Aporta Games is a European company and most of their distribution is done through Madigo in France. So unfortunately, I have not been able to find a copy of Santa Maria yet. But when I attended the Dice Tower retreat in September, they have a copy in the Dice Tower library and I was able to play it there. So I played Santa Maria at the Dice Tower retreat with my mom and one other gentleman who sat down to learn it with us. It was the first time playing for all three of us, and we actually learned from the rules. I read the rules and taught the game. It was actually a pretty easy rules explanation and teach, and it seemed to go really well just from the rule book, which was fantastic since we didn't have anyone there who'd played it before to teach us. So Santa Maria is a little bit of a twist on like a dice worker placement game. You're not really placing them as workers in a traditional worker placement sense of you can just go wherever you want to with it, and the pip value depicts where, like, what action you can take. Instead, in Santa Maria, you are building out a player board in front of you, and the player board will have columns and rows that are labeled with dice pips on the top and on the side. And the dice on one side are blue and the dice on the other side are white. And so some of these dice are your personal dice that you have from the beginning and throughout the game, and then other ones are communal dice that you'll be drafting from a pool in the center each round. So on your turn, you're going to typically use one of these dice and you're going to place it based on the color of the dice, either in a column or a row. And based on the pip value of the dice, that's the row or column that you can place it in. So once you decide which dice you're going to use and where you're going to place it, well, where it goes, I guess, because it's not optional, you will then run the dice across like a little engine. And so at the beginning, your board is mostly blank, and so you'll just kind of go across and maybe do 2 actions. Now the dice will stay on the last action in that row or column, and it will just stay on your board and it will block it. So in a future round, if I were to run another dice down, say the column going the other direction, that space that's already been blocked by my dice from earlier doesn't get to be used again. But if I ran it through the column that's a little bit further up and that space is not blocked, then I do get to activate it again. So as you go through, you're blocking off spaces that you won't be able to use again that round. So you want to plan out how and when you're going to use these dice. You're collecting resources, you're generating resources from your board, you're collecting them to turn them in to buy additional tiles to place out on your board that will give you more and more actions as you go through the game. There's also some kind of set collection, there's tracks that you're going to be moving up on, there's special bonus ability cards and bonus scoring cards that you're going to be vying for contingent on the first person who goes there. I think it's free or it's cheaper, and then the more people that are already there, the more expensive it gets. So you have to kind of debate, okay, if I'm going to be spending to go on this particular card or action, then is it worth it for how much I'm spending for it with what I'm going to get out? You are going to be shipping goods, and that will build into your engine as well. There's all these different things going on in the game that were just so much fun. And I didn't do a great job on my first play of building out my board. I definitely kind of started falling behind with the other gentleman we were playing with. He did a great job of building out all of the tiles on his board, filling it in, and being able to just really run this robust resource engine on his board every time. And then he would just ship goods and ship goods and ship goods. And he really did well in that regard and pulled out a win for sure. He played very well. But Santa Maria is very high on my wish list. I think it's like the third game on my wish list for this year for Christmas, and one that I'm hoping to be able to track down a copy of, even if it means that I may have to order it from Madigo and have it shipped from France over here. But that is my number 6, which is Santa Maria. Thanks so much for joining us again today for the final few games of the countdown. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel so that you can see the top 5 coming up next. Until then, we hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.